Good evening and welcome to Face for the Newsfirst team. I'm Niresh Eliathambi. I'm pleased to welcome to our studio this evening Mr. M.A. Sumanthiran, President's Council and former Member of Parliament. He's returning to our program after several months and it's good to have him. Welcome back, Mr. Sumanthiran.
Thank you, Niresh. Good to be on the show again.
Right, Mr. Sumanthiran. So, let's talk about politics in the north and the east. And this is vitally important, of course, because in the general election, the NPP did make certain unexpected inroads into the popular vote, and the people did vote for the NPP, gave them a chance. And of course, the chance is for the full term of 5 years. But there are, of course, expectations of the voters around the country of any government in office. How's the situation with the voters in the north with regard to not only the NPP but the other parties as well?
Well, it was a strange thing because at the presidential election, every single district in the north and east did not vote for President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. They voted for Sajith Premadasu, who came first in all of the districts. But once AKD won, we saw this phenomenon of a proper wave. It was more like a tsunami really, and so that swept even the districts in the north in which ITAK, the party of which I am now the General Secretary, held sway for so many years. The NPP won, but soon thereafter in the local council elections, we managed to retrieve the vote back to us. Now we have control of 34 councils in the north and east. We contested in 58, out of which only about 45, 46 we could have actually taken control, and out of that 34 is a big number. So, I would say yes, people voted not for the president, but for NPP, but for the president. The wave was, as if I might call it, it was an Anura wave, it was not NPP. And you asked what the situation now is. To be very frank, I think the president is still popular in the north and east, but it is the president alone who has managed to retain that popularity. It is not the government, not the MPs from those areas, but president, he has charisma, we all know, and he's managed to retain some confidence of the people. So, and year on, he seems to be able to command that degree of popularity. It's reduced somewhat, but I think he is still popular. But the only direction in which it will move is downwards.
Okay, that's interesting. And as you said, 3 different elections and 3 different voting patterns. Highly unusual,
right.
But there's a first time for everything. Now, what about the other parties? Your party, for example, what is your situation?
Yes, so even in the general election, the gap between NPP and us was not too much, but they got both at us, and so they got in the Jaffna district, they got 3 members and we got only 1 member. Now, that's a system because you get a bonus also. But when the local council election, as I said, we came back very strongly within a few months. People are expecting the provincial council elections to be held. There is a lot of expectation in that regard, because that is one of the promises given by the president in his manifesto, that until a new constitution is made, the provincial council system will be maintained as it is. So, provincial councils have not been in office for 6 years, and so people want, and this is a fundamental political aspiration of the people in those areas, and they are rather dismayed that 1 year has gone by and there is no sign of the provincial council elections being held.
Now, if the provincial council elections are held, and there have been signals on and off from the NPP leadership that they will hold them, but one date I think was mid next year, broadly speaking, which one of the ministers spoke of, but there is nothing concrete. But if the elections are held, what do you think would be the result?
Well, if the elections are held, I can quite confidently say in the north our party will emerge victorious, given the current situation. In the east also we will probably become the largest party, but may not have enough to form a government. We might have to at that point in time join with a major Muslim party and form the administration. So, north and the east, I think, given the current political context, will not go to NPP. It will probably come to us. But the rest of the 7 provinces, I think NPP still holds sway. So, actually it will be advantageous to the government to hold the elections early rather than put it off. And in the south also now all the other political parties are calling for the elections early. Even people like Mr. Karujaya Surya, who heads NMSJ, last week issued a statement saying that the election to provincial councils must be held before end of 2025. So, there is pressure on the government. Recently concluded UN Human Rights Council also in the resolution on Sri Lanka emphasized the full implementation of the 13th Amendment of the Constitution, devolution and early provincial council elections. So, there is pressure from all sides now on the government to hold these elections. As I said, it is advantageous to the government to hold it early also, but somehow they seem to be reluctant to hold elections to provincial councils. One reason may be they are comfortable as it is, because governors of those provinces who are direct appointees of the president and agents of the president are the ones administering all of those devolved subjects in the provinces. So, they have a direct rule through the executive, and there is no legislative power that is being exercised by the provinces. So, it is quite a comfortable situation for them. So, they may want to continue that status quo for a while.
Interesting. What about the economic situation in the north? Of course, we see that island-wide the economy is growing. It seems to be growing at a good pace, if nothing spectacular, not on the lines of Tamil Nadu and the rest of southern India. But of course, to get to that kind of point, it might take a decade. But is there a sense that we could be growing faster, or what do the people of the north think?
Yes, see, the situation of the economy hasn't changed too much in the north and the east. when I say it doesn't change too much, even during the economic collapse, the poor and the people at the very bottom really suffered, but generally the middle classes weren't affected too much because it's a remittance economy. And
Right.
they got, so when the dollar went up in price, they got more rupees for their dollars that were coming. So there was a kind of a balance. Now also we don't see this economic growth that we see in the whole of the country affecting the north and the east too much, because there aren't jobs being created. Lands, well, they are cultivating their lands, etc., but still a lot of the lands are under military control, and that has not been, this government hasn't released anything. Absolutely not an inch has been released. Only one army camp in Murakkatanjoda in the east was just removed. Other than that, they have not released. And so in Jaffna, for instance, area called Palali East, very fertile land is being cultivated by the army and produce sold to its owners who are in welfare centers close by. So those things are still continuing, although promises were given that all of that will be released, etc. So the economy hasn't changed too much. You mentioned Tamil Nadu and some of the states in India. I think that's a gateway for us also. If there is connectivity with South India, not only the north and the east, but the whole of the country will also grow at a rapid pace. But even in that regard, the government has been stalling, improving Palali airport, opening up Kankesanthura harbour. If those two are done, and there is Indian credit line, Indian grant available, and they are refusing to take it. For what reason we don't know. They say it's not commercially viable, and it's mind-boggling to think that it's not commercially viable. We all know, empirically we know that it'll boom. So government is again missing an opportunity, not just for the economic welfare of the north and east, but that will be for the whole country. So yes, the economy is growing from figures that we can see the country, but for a complete turnaround, we are still not out of the woods. I would say we are still on thin ice, because repayments have commenced with regard to certain matters. 2028 we'll have to start paying. It's a precarious situation. So this growth may not, really pull us out of the woods. But if there is a boom, like what I said, then that will settle all of these issues.
I think the World Bank, in their statement a couple of days ago, said exactly that we need to stay the course and continue. Now, you mentioned the connectivity to South India. So there was a lot of publicity about the ferry service, which of course is a on again, off again thing because of the monsoonal situations. You can't run a ferry when the monsoon is on, so it does stop for a few months and then starts again. But is it frequent enough?
So what happens times? Now is not a good thing, because what is envisaged is a proper development of the KKS port as another port to which even goods and ships come, and that will not be affected by monsoonal changes. The ferry, what they must also now restart is the Rameswaram Talamanna ferry, which used to run so whatever those days, but that has again stalled. And the land connectivity, the road, you see, if that happens.
You're talking about a land bridge.
Land route from Rameswaram to Telangana. If that happens, and if these other the port in KKS and the airport in Palali are developed, now Palali only certain size aircrafts can land, but if you extend the runway, you can have larger flights coming in. It is true that the north will develop faster than some other regions, but I don't think that should be the reason why we must block that and then deny ourselves the benefit that might come to the whole country in any case.
Right. I mean, obviously, of the 9 provinces, some, such as the Western Province and the Southern Province, have been growing much faster, and also the Central Province. These are the population centers, and they are also the transportation hubs. You have the expressways and the railways and so on, and we can envisage that the Northwestern Province and even the North Central would probably see a boom once the expressway connects properly to Kurunegala. So, some provinces.
So even for exports, now if you start some kind of job-oriented industry in the east, say, or some part of in the Vanni, transportation to all the way to Colombo before those are shipped, the cost is so much higher than if we have available ports closer.
Right.
So everything indicates that this is a no-brainer. It's the way the economic boost can happen, and something that we talked about earlier with regard to provincial council elections. If there is proper devolution, then certainly a very strong diaspora will also be interested in investing. If there is a political solution and settlement, and they'll have confidence that is managed by locals in that area, they'll be willing to come in and invest. Now they don't come. It's very difficult to get anyone from the diaspora to come and invest there.
Now, this is of course generally known as the national question.
Yes.
Which is a strange way of putting it, but that is what it's called. Do you see any progress in resolving the national question?
So again, the manifesto of the president very specifically says that based on certain matters, this will be resolved. Recently, I saw General Secretary of the JVP also saying that the Tamil ethnic issue, as he called it, will be resolved. As the main Tamil political party, the Ilangai Thamarasu Katchi has written to the president. 2 weeks ago, party president and I signed and sent him a letter saying we've now waited for 1 full year. You made these promises in your manifesto and thereafter also consistently, but no move seems to have been taken in that regard. As a premier Tamil political party, we are willing to discuss with you, and along with the 2 signatories, we said 8 MPs, 10 of us are willing to have discussions with you in this regard. We haven't had a reply as yet. Of course, as we sent the letter, he was, I think, traveling to New York for UNGA, but now he's returned, and so we are expecting that he'll respond to that letter soon.
Right, interesting. Now, certain other areas where the national question is concerned, the Prevention of Terrorism Act, which we were told, one of the ministers said so in Parliament, that it would be repealed off away last month, in September. And
again,
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Again, that is also there in the manifesto. says it will be repealed. Now, prior to that also the previous government also said there will be a moratorium on the use of the PTA until it is repealed. But we see continuous arrests being made under the PTA, even this government in the last 1 year too. People who are called underworld gang leaders are also being arrested under the PTA. PTA is not intended for that kind of thing. Then you must have organized crimes or some other, So, if it is terrorism, where is terrorism now? Why do you need this? In any case, this act did not combat terrorism. All of that, the war in its fullest form started after this law was brought into operation
in 1979.
And I might say this contributed also to the strife even more. So, they have made the promise. They have been vociferous opponents of the PTA. When we carried out a campaign to repeal the PTA district by district by district, they have cooperated with us fully. They were, they said repeal and you do not need a replacement for this act. But now they are talking about a replacement, but even that has not come out. So, our position is why don't you stick to what you said for all of these years, and then your campaign promise, and thereafter also you are not still doing that. So, this is again with regard to the North and East, this is again another bone that the people they are picked, saying it hasn't been done.
Right. The PTA, of course, affects not just the North and East, but
it's the whole country. Of course,
the whole country.
Yeah.
So, as you said, these gang leaders who are being locked up, they are not from the North and East, but again, they are. Some of them are being detained under detention orders, right? And not
for terrorism, but for something else.
Exactly, which one could say is just as bad with these narcotics and so on.
That's so, but then you must have laws for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, we have been told that a new law will be coming specifically for that, but we haven't seen it happening. Seems to be taking its time. Right. So, you mentioned the human rights situation, and we are fresh off the Geneva resolution. What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, Sri Lanka says they are opposed to this resolution, but when it was presented, they didn't call for a vote. So, it was adopted unanimously. Like last year, also they did the same thing. If they were opposed to it, they could have called for a vote. They didn't call for a vote. There is a reference in that resolution for crucial issues, which these resolutions from 2012 onwards have been, repeating. And the government, at least this government, must deliver on those. If they deliver on those, then the Human Rights Council will not put this kind of pressure. For whatever reason, and I suspect it is from the security sector of the country that the government is being held back rather than work towards reconciliation, accountability. These resolutions are termed promoting accountability and reconciliation in Sri Lanka. So, with regard to accountability, naturally some military personnel or from the security sector frightened and hold the government back. So, government also seems to be giving into that kind of
So do you believe that the armed forces or certain segments of the armed forces have that much influence over the government? Because we saw this in previous regimes, of course, and we were hoping that was at an end.
Well, that's what we hoped with this government, but apparently they still have a fair say in matters, and until the government breaks out of that and boldly goes forward with the view to actually genuinely reconciling the communities in this country, we are going to have the national question hanging over our heads.
However, many senior officers of the armed forces, including retired commanders, have been arrested under various offences.
Yes, they have. Yeah, they
which
have
was
done that
unthinkable under previous regimes.
Yes, that is true. That has happened. So I think they need to move forward in that some more.
Right. What about the Office of Missing Persons, the OMP, which for many years was a big disappointment, but much
It's a
is
huge
expected.
disappointment. In fact, when the affected communities did not have trust in the OMP, we told them, no, this is the only office, we work with it and so on, and they were quite angry with us. Now they seem justified in not placing their trust in this setup. There is this provision to make temporary payments, allowances to be paid once a person is declared and certified as having been disappeared. Now, even those payments are not being made. Allocations have been done, and I am told that this year nothing has been done. And with regard to actual investigations, they haven't done even one. So, what is the whole purpose of the Office of Missing Person if it does not do investigations with regard to finding out what happened to that person? And now we have a situation of a mass grave in Chemmani. We have had mass graves in various places, but the Chemmani is significant because, as you know, in the Krishanti Kumaraswamy's case, in 1999, a soldier blurted out in court and said, we buried 300 to 400 people in this place. And 26 years later, we are finding over 250 skeletons in one small square. So, what he said then is now being proved. Around that time, there were some 300 odd complaints of disappearances, and the Human Rights Commission appointed a special committee headed by Dr. Devanesan Nesaya, and in their report, which was published in 2003, they say about 282 cases, security forces are responsible. So, even at that time, there was an investigation done, but now you have this. Unfortunately, last week we heard that in court, it was reported that there are no funds available to continue this process. So, this has been the story time and again with regard to mass graves in Matale, in Manar, in Mullaitivu. It stalls at one point. Chemmani also has been stalled. Government is not releasing funds to continue with even the excavation. Now, excavation is one thing. Thereafter, you have to do
there is a continuous scientific process.
Scientific process of DNA tests, match to see who the identification is paramount. But there again seems to be some block. Although they are paying lip service, Minister of Justice said, no, we will give money, but there is no money being relocated.
However, the process this time is under a magistrate. Of course,
every process has been under a magistrate. Yeah, but the magistrate does only inquest, and if there is a body discovered, the magistrate does inquest. That's all. Beyond that, the magistrate can't do anything. But even to do the excavation,
the funding is required.
Money is necessary.
Right. So again, we come to a bottleneck.
That's right.
Hopefully, it will be sorted out.
Yeah, this one should be sorted out because this is too big matter to without punning to bury it under the soil.
Right, and all eyes are on this, I believe. Right. So, what about now? You mentioned the local councils. And the fact that your party, ITAK, won control of so many of them. Now, what has changed for the people in those areas with your party now being able to carry out some work on the ground?
Yeah, most of these councils, we are monitoring them very carefully, are able to deliver services very efficiently. We're giving them training, we are having meetings with the chairpersons who have been elected, etc. One of the challenging things have been garbage disposal. This is one of the big problems everywhere. So, in some of our areas, we are having that as a big challenge. But we will resolve that also with the councils joining together and working out some mechanism for that. But this has also given us, the party, means to get close to the people, work with them, find out the views of the people with regard to a lot of the these local councils actually perform vital functions with regard to day-to-day matters, and so some places it's a challenge to resolve some crisis situations. But as I said, it has created opportunity for interaction with the people and find out their views and so on, and get them involved in a lot of these processes.
Right, but now certain councils, local councils that is, were not won by your party. How is the interaction between your councils, the ones that your party dominates, and the others?
Yeah, there are
the
about,
Northeast?
if you look at it in the north or in Mana, we did not take control of even one council. So, all 4 councils went to other parties. But we have our members, you see, so none.
How's the working relationship?
The working relationship is all right. In some places we have the deputy chair. In Jaffna there are about 3 councils that we don't have control over, but 17 others we have. So, relationship is, at the moment, there is no problem. It's fairly cordial, and where we don't have control also we cooperate with the administration that has been set up. So far there is no serious issue with regard to that kind of thing.
And the councils that your party controls works well with the government and with the governor
yes, they
so
interact with the governor quite a lot, because local authority is a devolved subject to the province, and since there is no provincial council or a minister, the governor is a person who they have to interact with, and I think the governors in both provinces have been cooperating very well.
Right, that's good to hear, because in the past we have had governors.
We had problems, but I think these 2 governors have been quite good with regard to that matter.
That's excellent news. Now, let's focus on your party for a few minutes. What is the leadership situation? Has it all settled down now?
It's not settled. It's still not settled, because there are 2 cases in courts, and those have not been resolved yet. But that has not affected the work of the party, as in the local councils now what we see. So, we have a person who is heading the party, the president, Mr. C.V.K. Sivanyanam. He is a very experienced person. He is, I think it would be all right to say he is 85 or so. Today happens to be his birthday too. A very experienced person who was commissioner of Jaffna Municipal Council several years ago, and so on. So, his leadership. I am General Secretary now. I devote a lot of time visiting all the districts and so on. So, party functioning has not been affected by the other dispute which is in court. So, until that is resolved, party functions quite smoothly, I would say.
Right. Now, you mentioned age. And one of the big demands of all parties is that young members need to be given more responsibility and more leadership roles. How are the young
No, we have a
leaders in
mix
your...
of that. We have this, huge experience, but also very young people. Even in the parliamentary election, our party fielded our average age was much lower than most of the other parties. Of course, people when they elect, when preference wise, they seem to go for experience. So younger people tend to sort of get left behind. But in the local council elections, we have a number of very young people who have come in. But even in parliament, we have from the east, Shanagan Rasamanikam was elected when he was under 30. And he still is very popular, and who is the leader of our party in the east. So we have a mix, and one area that we are lacking is the participation of women. That I must confess, we have not been able to get enough involvement. Of course, currently the mayor of Jaffna from our party is a woman. And so we have a few people, but I would say that's not enough.
But why is it that women's participation is lagging behind? And
No,
this is a national phenomenon.
Yeah, national phenomenon. It's a lot of factors in it. The way society functions, the stereotyped woman's role, all of that is an issue, and also the political environment, what it is, discourages women from coming forward, particularly with regard to social media. Now, anybody who sticks their head out is immediately slandered and all that kind of thing, and many people don't want to enter public life as a result. So that's also a factor.
But is your party focusing on getting more women into politics?
Yes, we are actively involved in creating interest among women. We are looking at many younger women now to take this and come forward. Hopefully, if the provincial council elections happen, we will have a fair number of women coming in.
Right, and we are almost out of time. So my final question, Mr. Sumanthiran, is what do you see happening over the next 6 months in the country? How are we going forward, and what would you like to see happen?
Well, I would like to see the country come out of the economic crisis that we are in. Some people say we are out of it, but we are not. For us to flourish as a country, we need to get over this. And we'd like to contribute towards it. And as I said earlier in the program, economic advancement and so on, we do have a niche that we can bring into play. We hope the government takes that. So, from our perspective, in the next 6 months, we'd like the provincial council elections to be held, that we cooperate with the central government in getting the country out of this mire. Some of the other issues of reconciliation and so on are done genuinely to the satisfaction of all sides. PTA repeal, that kind of thing. And as the main Tamil political party, we are willing and ready to pull our full weight in that direction.
Well, let's hope all of that happens, and of course I'll have you back on the program in a couple of months, and let's see the progress on all these fronts. I'm afraid we're out of time. My thanks to Mr. M. A. Sumanthiran, President's Counsel, former Member of Parliament, and of course General Secretary of ITAK. And thanks to you at home for watching. Don't go away because the news is coming up next. Have a great weekend.